Good morning. It's just after 5 a.m. here in Calgary, and I want to talk a little bit about shoulders. We're going to do a few movements on the shoulders, but I specifically want to connect those shoulders to your ribs and your pelvis. Now, what do I mean by that? A lot of times when people are doing shoulder work, so they bring their arms up overhead. So maybe they've got their arms up like this and they're doing some rotation through their shoulder joint, or maybe they've got a dumbbell and they're going up like this, or they've got two hands on a dumbbell and they're doing something like this. What you'll often see is their ribs poking out. So they'll do something like this, right? And you don't really think much of it, but when the ribs are moving out like this, so if you're bringing your arm up and the ribs are moving out like this, you're actually going into an extension of the spine. So you think you might be moving into flexion at that arm bone, but what you're actually doing is you're doing the movement through your spine. So today, when we do these few movements, I want you to really pay attention to the arm bone moving in the shoulder socket. Now, when it does that, this shoulder blade needs to go into upward rotation. So this shoulder blade comes up. So do your best to not set and hold your shoulder blades to bring your arm up, because that blade actually has to move in order for the arm to come up overhead, okay? So when you're doing this next movement, we're gonna bring our arms over our head to start with. So try not to weave those ribs into the upper abdomen. There are lots of cues about that. And of course, what they're trying to have you not do is to move those ribs forward. But how about try this? Keep the ribs quiet and only move your arm up over your head as far as the ribs don't do that, okay? Start to see where you get to. So if we bring this strap into it, good, here. So when you bring this up, notice where your ribs go. So try not to hold them in, try not to tuck your tailbone. Just bring the arms up as far as they go. If they don't go very far, then take the arms to here, right? It might be that you're coming up more like this. You could do that. So now from here, let's start to circle the arms around. And now sometimes what can happen is this can start to occur. So let those ribs stay where they are and move the arms overhead. And just easily breathe. And then let's go the other direction. It's really, really easy to improve how our arm bones move in the shoulder socket. It's really easy. And it's also really easy to kind of mess it up, if I can use those words, is that you want to be able to do it well. So now if I bring back stand, where we're going to go next is we're going to take the arms wide. So the arms are going to come here, and they're going to come wide like this. Let me put them more like this. So it's going to come more like this. Okay? Now, in doing that, to show on my body, we're going to do this motion. So again, what we're not doing is we're not raising the shoulders up, but we're also not setting the shoulders back down again. We're not holding the blades down. We're going to have a TheraBand here, and we're going to take the arms wide like this. But we're not doing that, but we're also not holding it down to do that, and we're not going that. That's not the motion. It's this. Okay, now let's bring those shoulders or this TheraBand down. And now let's take the strap. So the strap is going to come over one shoulder. And we're going to take this arm and we're going to bring it in behind. So the articulating joint here is the arm bone in the shoulder socket. So it's coming like so. Actually, no, it's not. That arm is going to come up. So we're going to take it up over the head and then grab it like so. This arm is going to come back and around. So the articulating joint is here, as well as the elbow, and then you grab the strap. So again, what can happen is the combination of what we just played with. This arm bone can come up and then the ribs can move. This arm can come back and the ribs can move. So can you just move your arm bones in your sockets and the elbows without holding the ribs down, but keeping the ribs quiet? Is that possible? Yeah? And so if you're a teacher and you're teaching people this, then that's simply a place for you to bring their awareness to. A lot of us have heard the cue of, tuck in those ribs or tuck in the tailbone or pull in the belly. And what happens is you start creating more tension, right? And then the thing that you wanted to do, which was to improve the function of your arm bone, that doesn't happen. Really easy breathing. Good, and then bring that one down. Drop that strap down. Okay, now let's take the shoulders up to the ears. So we're gonna take the shoulders up, pull them back, and then down. So the shoulders come up to the ears, the blades are gonna retract, and then they're gonna come down. Up, and then back, and then down. Now, the movement of the blade down is between these shoulder blades coming down towards T12, which is the lower trapezius. It's not down in here. It's not in these upper lower back muscles. So pay attention, bring your hands to the back of you here, lower than your ribs. And then as you do your movement, notice if you want to get your lower back into it. And can you perceive closer towards your ribs here area? So for women, it's more about around your bra strap and a little bit lower. That is where that movement is coming from. So if you can feel where your blade is, those muscles attach between the lower blade and T12, but not through here, okay? So up, and then rhomboids, pull them back, and then down. Up, rhomboids, pull them back, and then down. So it becomes really, really easy. It's not, you don't have to force it down. You don't have to pull it down. Just allow the blades to move easy on your rib cage. Yeah? And then start to notice what begins to happen with your lower back, because so many times when the QL starts to get all spasmy, oftentimes there's a relationship to what the shoulder is not doing well. And when we can improve that function, the QL starts to put its super cape of compensation away, and it becomes a lot easier. Okay, let's bring the arm across now. Let's start with bringing the fingers on top of the shoulder, other hand onto the elbow. Bring that across like so. So again, what we're watching for is, it's not this, but it's also not setting the blade either. It's letting the blade be on the rib cage, because we don't want the blade to get all sticky, right, and stuck because we've had to hold it so hard. The blade needs to move. We just need to give it a little bit of a limit, a little bit of a boundary of where it moves to. And it's not even we're giving the blade, it's not the blade's fault, it's us who does this. It's not the blade that's doing it, it's our own ambition and drive to get the arm across our body, or just in a lack of an awareness. So we don't have to put the blade in a certain place, we just need to be aware of what our movement is. Now let's start to move that arm bone in rotation. And then notice what's going on through your lower back. Notice what's going on through your pelvis. Good. And then bring that down. Good. And then bring this arm up and take that arm across. And just be conscious of what these parts are, and do your best just to feel what's there. Lovely. Okay, so now we're going to come on up here, and I'm going to have you take one foot up onto the chair, and we're going to take ourselves into a twist towards this leg. Now, if you followed me for a little bit, I tend to have people place their hands on their chin because when there's limitation in through this area of our body, we tend to overmove our neck and our head. So we want to keep the nose in line with the breastbone and then take that twist. So it's our obliques that are moving our rib cage, and the pelvis is actually staying a little quiet, yeah? Let me move a little bit this way. Now there are people out there who will move the pelvis with a twist. I don't tend to do that. I don't keep it anchored. I don't cement it to the ground. But I really want my obliques, which attach to my pelvis and my ribs, I want them to do the work. So if my pelvis is doing the movement, then my obliques don't get a chance to go all in. Good, and then bring that down. Okay, let's go to the other side. I'll face you this time. And take the twist. So you can see here it's my rib cage that's moving, and here we are. Good, and then coming on back. Great, all right, let's come back to sitting and take a pause before you actually sit and just notice what you feel in standing. Good, and then come on down. And just notice how you are in vertical. And does it feel any different having done a little bit of work through your shoulder, a little bit of work connecting your ribs to your pelvis, and maybe you gripped a little bit less through your upper abdomen, or you did a little bit less of shoulder blade setting. Yeah, and then maybe you got a little more awareness of your blades and your arms, your abdomen and your ribs and your pelvis, and how they all work together, yeah? So now just see if you can feel yourself breathing and how this whole structure supports and facilitates inhale and exhale. So remembering that before breath was breath, it was air sitting in front of your face. And then some pressure changes happen. The suppleness of your body allows for the breath to come in, or the air to come in, it becomes breath, and here we are. So the more supple our body is, the easier it is to breathe. And feel through the ribs, feel through your belly, maybe feel through the pelvic floor. Noticing how movement impacts the way that you breathe. And this can be a little signal for you, a yellow light through your day, a whisper, that if you notice your breathing starting to get a little bit thinner or held, then maybe you can do a little bit of movement to help free that up. Now you can stay here in this sitting breathing position for as long as you would like. And then when you do decide to move, take another 5 breaths before you transition on to the rest of your day. You have a great practice, have a super day, and we'll see you next time. Mwah. Take good care.